Hello, it's Worldwide Web Wednesday, July 20th, 2022. Steve Sipress here, and yesterday you might have heard the news. New congressional bipartisan updated version of the Data Privacy, whatever they call it, Act is going to make it even tougher to make money with online advertising, especially, of course, for small businesses, because all small business owners know, anyone paying attention knows, big government loves big business. And neither one of them likes small business. And so this is really going to hurt small business owners a lot more than it hurts big businesses, because companies that collect their own data from your own website and your own lists and your own everything, and you keep your own data, are going to reign supreme as the world turns to more and more privacy measures, online stalking measures, or whatever you want to call it. This new provision of the bill, the last version, which I talked about here and shared with you on a Worldwide Web Wednesday a few months ago, the online advertising venues like Google and such were upset because people could opt out of being tracked as they visit websites around the internet, which then that tracking is then used to identify who is likely to respond to online advertising. Of course, now the new version goes even further and makes it even tougher and worse for advertisers. Now, I have to remember now, because they keep changing the versions, they keep updating it, but either they have to give express permission now. They can't just opt out of being tracked. Now they either have to give express permission, or I think you can't do it at all. Either one. But it's certainly worse than having people have to opt out, where most people simply allow the tracking. Like, for instance, I personally love being tracked by online advertisers. I want to see relevant ads. I don't want to see ads, random ads that people are serving up to me as if I'm driving down a highway and I'm just seeing a bunch of billboards. Or I'm watching a TV station and I just see a bunch of ads that have nothing to do with me. I like the fact that online, my Facebook feed, my YouTube, Google, whatever it is serving me up relevant ads of things websites I've recently visited, things I've recently clicked on that I'm clearly in the market for. Sometimes, of course, they don't turn it off, and I'm looking at ads for things I have just bought. But that's a minor issue. I like, as a consumer, I like the, quote, lack of privacy of being tracked, so I see relevant ads. And of course, as an advertiser, I like it. And Carlos is here, one of the all-time experts on everything to do with advertising and marketing and sales for your business. If you are not connected to Carlos, you ought to be. So run over to Carlos on Facebook or anywhere else you can find him, and count yourself lucky to get some advice and get some help with him. Carlos is helping me with the launch of the WOW Strategy Certification Program that is on the verge of launching, and he gave me some ideas that I never even thought of. And I'm a marketing and advertising and sales expert myself, but we all need help. All top performers have coaches, and Carlos gave me an idea I hadn't even thought of, and so it's going to be fantastic, coming out soon. Thank you, Carlos. And you really ought to at least follow him on social media. But you really ought to hook up with him and get his help. Or send me a message or an email, steve@stevesipress.com, or hit me up anywhere, and, I can give you a few ideas on how he might be able to help you out and what he might be able to do for you. Let me know if he wants the lowdown. My nickname is Straight Talk Steve, no BS Steve, so I tell it like it is. I'm not going to lead you to someone who is not going to do great for you. Anyway, that's the way the world's headed, of course. People bark about privacy. I was in a networking event today, and I was talking to someone else who was a marketing advertising expert, and he said, he concentrates on digital marketing, and I said, look, I'm agnostic. I do what's best for the client, of course, whether it's online, offline, whatever. And he said, really, are people still getting results with print advertising? I'm like, he must have known the answer. I'm like, crushing it. It's easier than ever before. I don't know about you, but I open up my mailbox every day. I get one or two pieces of mail. You no longer have to fight for attention in the inbox, in the mailbox, like we used to even 10, 15, 20 years ago, you'd get 10, 15, 20 pieces of mail a day. Probably remember that. Sorting it over the garbage can, that's junk. That I'll read, that I'll take a look at, that's junk. Now you look at anything that comes in and there's no competition for your attention, and so it's easier than ever for the companies that are smart enough and the business owners smart enough to use print advertising, whether that's postcard or a letter or a print ad, better than ever before. And he mentioned something and he said, that offline advertising is the only place where you don't have these restrictive rules that hurt your advertising. I'm like, exactly. I have one mailbox in the front of my house. Now, for my email, first of all, I have several emails, and then they all have multiple boxes, right? This is promotions. This is junk. This is spam. This is good. This is what I got. One mailbox, one inbox for physical mail. I don't have a spam box out there. The postman comes by and goes, "Oh, this is spam, I think, and I think I'll deliver this to your regular mailbox, but I'm going to send this over to your promotions mailbox, and this one doesn't look good, and this one looks like spam." Like, screw that. Everything gets through to your audience. Anyway, it's a little off topic there, but basically telling you that it's getting tougher and tougher to advertise online because of these privacy measures that, and as a bipartisan bill, that should come as no surprise either, because just about every member of Congress is an idiot when it comes to anything technology-based or online-based or certainly business-based, and means they are kowtowing to the people that complain and go, "Oh, privacy this, privacy that," which of course hurts people, that business owners, advertisers, that make money off knowing about who you're sending it to. So in the offline world in the old days, before the internet came along, we could advertise in certain magazines and have a pretty good idea that we were reaching that audience, or advertise on a radio station, on a radio show or a TV show, and understand that if we advertised on a Julia Child cooking show, we were likely to reach women who are interested in cooking. And still today, with all the home cooking channels and such, you could go into a cooking at home magazine. You could go to Sports Illustrated if you wanted to reach men of a certain age, and so forth, right? So online, that data is collected, and even more than you could ever collect offline, from everywhere people go on the web, what they're looking to buy, what they're searching for, what they're clicking, what they're liking, what they're not liking, what they're loving, what they're commenting on. This all feeds into database that makes it much easier for Facebook, Google, YouTube, anyone else to serve up likely prospects for your advertising. You take all that away under the guise of privacy, and ads get more and more random, more expensive, more tougher, not more tougher, is that English? To target the people that are most likely to want to see your message and to buy from you. So be forewarned, data is king, of course, and if you aren't already, you're gonna have to do everything you can to collect your own data. That, at least for now, they're not taking away. They're allowing you to use geolocation, where somebody is, who they are, where they live, what they've done. They're allowing you to use all that if it's your data. If it's coming from third parties, from websites and such, it's not like they're not allowing you to use it. They're just not allowing it to be collected. So, of course, you can't use it. So, bad news for small business owners. Big businesses, of course, can handle this because they can collect more data. They can buy more data. They have deep pockets and they have big money. Small business owners had the playing field very much leveled by the fact that Facebook and Google and such were collecting all this data, making it easier to advertise without having to spend tons of money and have big data teams and pay big companies and consultants to manage and collect and analyze data for us. Small businesses just, can't afford the bandwidth, the time, the energy, the money to do all that. So it was great to just say, I'm going to advertise on Facebook and let them figure out who to show your ad to. Well, those days are going away. So focus on collecting your own data, building your own list of prospects, communicating with your own people, and then surveying them, finding out about them, asking them questions, tracking what they are clicking on, what they're buying, what they're interested in. You need to develop and collect and keep and analyze your own data, because that's the way the world is headed. And yesterday's new version of this whatever they call it, American Privacy Data Protection Act or whatever, bipartisan, means this may likely go through. It's not going to be good news for small business owners. So you now know ahead of time. You're forewarned. Hopefully you get prepared. Get with your advertising, marketing expert, whoever's helping you out with that stuff, and make sure that they're on top of all this and they're helping you to collect more of your own data, because that's the only way you're going to be able to survive cost effectively as time goes on. That'll do it for World Wide Web Wednesday, July 20th, 2022. Steve Sipress, it's been great being here with you. Thanks, everybody. I saw a bunch of likes and a bunch of names scroll by. And, of course, again, if you're not connected to Carlos Redlich, you need to be. Go check him out. Or just message me any way you want, and I'll talk to you and I'll tell you about him. I'll give you the real scoop. And if I don't think he can help you, of course, I won't recommend it. But if I can point you in his direction, he can help you, I highly recommend it. Anyway, I will catch you back here again tomorrow on Throwback Thursday. Over and out. Bye-bye.